Welcome to CityCast Denver. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Producer Paul Caroli, good morning.
Hey, what's up, Bree?
And we have a first-time guest, Andy Cushion, co-host of the Denver Urbanism podcast and creator of the Build Up Denver Twitter account. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
We're so excited to talk to you. You know, we love our urbanists. You guys know the city so well, so I think this is going to be a really fun conversation. Well, let's just jump right in, because I think we got a lot to talk about with this top story. It's Denver's scooter situation. So it was reported last December that in spring of 2026, so like soonish, Denver would ditch Lime and Bird scooters, booters, and bikes for a new micromobility operator called Veo. And this seemed to take a lot of folks by surprise because people really seem to like these current micromobility companies' options and programs. But before we dig into that, Andy, are you a scooter guy?
You know, I am not a scooter guy, but I am a bike guy. And
Okay.
I was like a super frequent user of the Lime bikes for years, actually, before I ever had my own e-bike. I just like, it just kind of unlocked a part of town for me that I wouldn't have gone to before to see friends of mine, to like go further on the e-bikes. So I'm like very grateful for the Lime contract that we've had. I was never a B-cycle guy. I have a lot of friends in my life who were B-cycle people. I can't relate to that, sorry to say. But I fall off of the scooters. If I ever try and ride them, I like literally just have to throw the scooter and bail because I get unstable. The Lime bikes, though, the new booters, whatever we're calling those, big fans.
Paul, were you a B-cycle guy?
Yeah, I think I did ride a few of them. Yeah, but my B-cycle connection now is, the OGs will appreciate it, but I had a friend who heard me talking about this on the podcast once, and then they were like, they knew someone that had worked for the company that did it or something, and like when B-cycles were taken offline, which was a whole other story, they somehow, this person...
They procured
a certain B-cycle fell off the back of a truck, I think was the situation. And now that B-cycle was gifted to me. And it's not just any B-cycle, but it is one of the unicorn B-cycles with the special pink design and the artist's design on it. They're like cartoons on it. And it is gorgeous. And it is currently gathering rust in my backyard.
Paul, put it in your garage.
Well, I had it in the garage, and then my wife was like, that thing is taking up space in the garage. You should get rid of it. And I was like, what if we put it in the yard? We could let
That's the most relatable bike thing you've ever said, though, is like just the more bikes you have in the garage, the more you know you're a bike person.
Yeah. She would say too many, but some of them are hers. So I didn't know we were going to be airing the grievances on the show today.
I'm calling Megan.
But yeah, it is a subject of dispute. There's too much crap in the garage.
Well, Paul, you've been investigating this this drop of information since it dropped last winter, because again, it kind of seemed out of nowhere for such a big decision. But before we get into that, I'd love for you to give us a little of the TLDR, Bird and Lime in Denver. Like, when did we first get these services?
Actually, I want to drop some knowledge on you right off the bat. This is the single most useful piece of information that we will deliver on the show today. So I am going to not answer your question at all, and instead say to everybody, the way you pronounce the company's name. I talked to the guy, Alex Keating. He's like the vice president of partnerships. He's like one of the lobbyist types that's doing the negotiations with the city for the company that is now the sole licensee to provide micromobility solutions to the city of Denver. It is not Veo. When I was like, do you pronounce it Veo? And when I asked him this, he was like, it's Veo. Everybody asks this. Everybody gets it wrong. Veo. So I don't know how we start off on the right foot with this and say Veo, because they like Veo. It's not Veo, but it's Veo.
I'm going to blame that on our Spanish language inflectional
100%
into our language where A's are E. You know, the E sound is an A, and that's, I assume, why all of us have said it that way.
I mean, all I know is in 2 years, I'm telling you, everybody's going to be calling it the VO. That's going to be how you know.
Let me get on the VO. Yeah.
And then once it's been said enough times, that will just be what it is, whether the company wants it to be or not, which is but the beauty of language. But okay, Paul. But let's backtrack a little bit because I think
how we got here.
Yeah, the TLDR. How did we get here?
Okay, so many people will remember back 2018 May, the scooter companies that were rising at the time, that had all of the big investment money from all the venture capitalists that thought this was the next big market to take over. They basically used the Uber and Lyft model, where they just sort of showed up and they dumped a whole crap ton of scooters on the streets. And then people were like, what are these things? Do we use them? And some people thought they were really cool and started using them to get around. And other people were like, this is the worst. This is in my way. I hate this scooter. And people chucked them in the creek, which is still the funniest thing about them. So that was like the Wild West.
I just want to say really quick about the Wild West moment of it, because my friend Kaylin, disability activist who uses a wheelchair, these things would be parked across a sidewalk, then she could not get through. And so there used to be an Instagram, I think, called Bird Graveyard. And she would she would ram her wheelchair into them to knock them over because she was so mad. Like, these are parked in my way. But that was the very beginning, to be fair. Things have changed.
Yeah, they've changed a lot. I mean, we've gone from the Wild West to, it's an entirely different situation now. And I think people maybe have not realized what has happened with the scooter world, because a lot of cities across the country, like Denver, smartened up to this new technology. And there were basically two realizations at once. There was one, hey, we need to regulate this. And then two, because people really like them. They're very useful to get around. Micromobility, the scooters, the e-bikes, the sit-down scooters, as some of the companies call them, they provide that last mile solution, is what a lot of the insidery tech jargon is for folks who...
Can you explain that really quick? Yeah, the first mile, last mile?
Yeah, because if you're getting off the bus, it doesn't drop you off at your house. So how do you get from your house to the bus stop? That's the last mile. So maybe you take a scooter. That's the last mile thing. So cities across the country have wised up, and they've basically most of them adopted the model that Denver's adopted, which is licensing a certain amount of operators and basically allowing them to come in and use that public space to offer this service in exchange for different things in different cities. So previously, what Denver required was like equity access programs. Lime had a program where you could get 3 free rides a day if you qualified. And you could qualify as long as you proved like you were maybe on SNAP benefits. There was a lot of ways to qualify.
Sure.
Other cities do different things, and Denver's actually changing. The new contract with VO is probably going to be a whole new thing entirely, because, again, this space is very lucrative, and these companies are competing in every single city. I mean, this is a scooter war now. It's not the Wild West. Denver is but one front of the scooter wars. So cities across the country, they've been licensing these operators, and now VO is probably going to end up paying Denver some money for this license, which has not been the case before.
Andy, really quick, you're a person that looks at and studies the built environment and how it functions every day. What did you think about this sort of approach from scooter companies and bike companies to just come in and drop them down?
Well, it's kind of, they're going to call it innovation, and the city's going to call it a risk, right? And
Sure.
Finding some balance between what is innovative and what's a risk is the whole point of public policy. So congrats to a lot of really smart people who worked really hard and passed a new ordinance that we just hadn't had before. I do think a lot of them were responding though just to a gap in the market. In Denver, with the world of B-cycle, which is what we had for a decade before it kind of went away, that was a world where you had to have the docked system. You had to return the bike to the right place. And in a world where there's not that many docks, you're riding your bike from your kind of where you live in the neighborhood down into downtown, and then maybe even that dock was full already and you just suddenly can't end your ride. You're kind of distressed about that. So the dockless system is probably a better solution. I mean, we've gotten a lot more miles and a lot more users out of it in the last few years, which to me is also the point. If people are just walking out of their house and rather than calling the Uber or like driving the 1.5 miles down the street to like go picnic with their friends at the park, but just taking the scooter instead. Like that seems like kind of better for street life. That seems better generally it's definitely better for carbon emissions. I saw something that Vio had done a study or participated in a study where they estimated their users told them that like 34% of the trips that they took using Vio were replacing car trips. So like that's a really big deal. We would have a lot more traffic on the street, a lot more congestion, a lot more crashes and things like that would happen because of that, if we didn't have some version of this happening.
Sure. Yeah. And I know, like you said, there's some policy there happening where it was like finding designated areas to park them since the dock part didn't exist anymore, which is it's a really great visual point, I think, that I absolutely forgot about.
We're kind of reinventing the dock now, though. Like this new model is like, just paint the dock and put it there in the dock, So, we went away from dock back to it, I think.
Hi, I'm David Plotz. I'm the CEO of CityCast, a podcast network that includes this show you're listening to, and also 12 other CityCasts in 12 other cities. And each one knows their city as well as your local team knows yours. So isn't it time we connected them? Don't you want to know how they're tackling their bike lane problems and housing challenges and sidewalk dog poop crises? That's why I'm hosting a new podcast called Your City Could Be Better. Because it could be. Every week, I'll chat with a different host in our CityCast network about what their cities are doing right and wrong, the weird things they're trying, and the surprising successes, so that we can all learn how to make our cities a little bit better. Listen to Your City Could Be Better on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, did you know CityCast Denver has a perks program? Every week, we're highlighting some standout deals from our favorite businesses in town to help you support local and save some money. It's a win-win. Here's a highlight from this week. Coming to Denver or planning a staycation? Reserve your Mile High Experience box with Green Door. Choose edibles or flour, plus Colorado-made snacks and travel essentials, ready for pickup at our trusted local dispensary partner. Everything you need to elevate your trip and enjoy local experiences. And you can use our code DENVERPERK for $10 off. These businesses are offering deals to CityCast readers and listeners because they know you're the most engaged and passionate Denverites. To see a full list, just visit denver.citycast.fm/perks. It's a great way to check out new restaurants, shops, and events in your city without breaking your budget. And I love that for you. And by the way, if you have a local business, you can offer your deals on our perks page too. Visit denver.citycast.fm/perks to learn more today. Well, Paul, let's get into it. So Scooter and Lime have been around here, or I'm sorry, Bird and Lime have been around Denver since 2018. That's like pretty, I don't know. I feel like it's pretty ingrained probably in a lot of folks' transit options every day.
Although it's changed. I mean, Bird was one of the first to drop, but then Bird didn't stick around. In 2021, the city permitted 2 providers, Lyft and Lime. That's when Lime came. Well, no, Lime and Lyft. Lyft was the new one in 2021, and they got the 5-year permits that are expiring now. But then Lyft, their micromobility division, basically shut down because they failed to make money, it seems, and they had a bunch of layoffs. So it's actually been a lot more dynamic in the scooter world than it seems. Like Lyft totally fell off, and then Bird claimed their license and came back. Although Lime has got a much bigger fleet right now. Lime is definitely Denver's main provider.
Okay. Mm-hmm. But that's not going to, well, I guess I'm trying to think how to get there because it's like the information was dropped. We were told this new company was coming in, but you talked to folks at the current providers about this situation.
Yeah, well, what's happened over the last year is everybody knew that the 5-year licenses were going to expire in mid-2026. That's May 1st is when I think they expire. And so the city, in preparation for this, put out a request for proposals in mid-2025. And then all the scooter companies, I don't know how many, I don't know which ones, but a bunch of scooter companies all wanted a piece of this pie because they've seen scooter rides in Denver go up astronomically over the last 5 years. It's a very valuable market. Denverites love scooters. And so a bunch of companies put in bids. And in December of last year, the Department of Transportation and Infrastructure chose VIO as their preferred provider. Now, right now, that's not confirmed. What's happening now is VIO needs to get city council approval for a contract, and they're still negotiating the terms. So the things that you're seeing reported right now are still under consideration. And like, we have some details of what VIO had put forth in their proposal to get this bid.
Yeah, I was like, what made them so special?
Well, a lot of things. VIO is a very different kind of company. VIO was not one of the companies that started off with this just like dropping a ton of scooters on the street approach. They've much more like grew slowly and gone market to market in places where they thought that they could make money. It wasn't like they didn't have the same strategy. So for VIO, there's a few key differences. Number one, they don't use subcontractors the way that Lime does. Lime has, like, you'll see trucks on the street, like vans, and it's all different kinds of vehicles because it's all different kinds of subcontractors. It's not like one uniform system the way Lime moves their scooters from place to place. VIO does it all in-house. Everything is in-house with VIO. So from the scooter logistics operations all the way through to designing the actual vehicles themselves. Like, it's all one company. So that's a huge change. Another huge change is they're changing the proposal, should city council approve this contract, is the other big change is they're changing the composition of the fleet itself. So currently the majority of our micromobility options are those stand-up scooters that we first saw in 2018. VIO, part of their pitch for a safer fleet for fewer crashes, is changing that so it's fewer stand-up scooters where the center of gravity of a rider is higher, and maybe you're a little bit more prone to falling when you hit a bump, or if you're drunk and riding with two people after a night on the town, you're going to fall down and hurt yourself. They have more of the options in their fleet are the sit-down style, the sit-down scooters, the e-bikes, or their like cargo trikes that they're talking about. And for them, that's a safety measure. So we're going to see probably much more of those if this contract goes through.
Andy, you said you don't do well on the stand-up.
No, I don't know why. I'm like not an uncoordinated person in the rest of my life. I'm like a runner. I love walking. I'm doing all sorts of stuff, but my legs like lock on the scooters. But I'm really excited about the change in the fleet here, especially I think some of the bikes that I've seen, I was looking at their website, have like 2 seats on it. Because technically
that's what I was going to ask about. Okay.
It's not even supposed to be allowed for people to ride 2 to 1 scooter. Although you see it all the time. Literally yesterday morning, I was biking to work and I saw like a dad with his 2 little twin girls, like all on one scooter.
Yes.
And like, but all of them acting like very normal, like very practiced at how to do that. So I think just having more vehicles that offer like a variety of ways for people to engage with them, multiple people on the same vehicle more safely, seems pretty good.
Okay, that was going to be my question for you, Paul, because one of the things I see a lot is that very thing is a lot of parents are using this as a way to get their kids around, which I totally understand. But the safety component of it is a little bit scary. So the fact that these may be able to like safely carry 2 people feels better already, to be honest with you. So I guess what is next? You said city council has to approve this, but how will this be implemented? How would I experience it as someone who's a regular rider of Bird or Lime?
Well, starting May 1st, all those Lime scooters will be gone. Someone's going to put them in a van, probably ship them off to Topeka or wherever the heck Lime has managed to win their next contract with whatever other city. And the fine people at VIO are going to dump all their scooters on the streets. And we're all going to be downloading a new app.
Yeah, sure. So no service interruption.
That's the pitch.
Hopefully?
I mean, and they say that because these contracts actually change a lot, like we had with Lyft, like their scooter showed up and then they were gone. Like, did anyone really notice that was that a big deal? Was that a problem for people? I don't know. I don't remember it being a big issue. So I think the companies pretty much anticipate this being a pretty seamless transition just because they have so much experience doing it already.
Andy, I saw you make a face about that.
Well, I just, I do think one of the things that like the city maybe isn't taking for granted or isn't really appreciating here is just the power of incumbency, right? Like people have just learned to do their day around the Lime scooters that they use. Maybe they're going to be totally fine with VO. I'm telling you, we're going to get lots of little complaints in the first few weeks. Like, oh, I can't find one. It's not here. It's not there. And I also think, too, just like the changing vehicles is just maybe going to confuse people at first. And the other part, again, I don't mean to be too critical, but like the folks who were enrolled in a lot of these like access programs, there was like a really great piece in Westward about the guy who like rode the most miles on like any Lime bike in the whole world was like here in Denver by using that program. VO is saying all the right stuff. They're saying like, oh yeah, we're just going to let you ride for free if you think you're part of that accessibility, that equity program, like early days, and then we'll kind of check your paperwork later. But I do think that there are going to be some people that, which I saw that like the first day that the contract would be the 1st of May. Mm-hmm. So I guess, prepare yourselves, regular scooter riders, just for like a little bit of going outside and finding a color change and maybe something looking a little different.
Sure.
This is what the folks of Lime have been talking about since they lost the contract, but they're still fighting for it. Because if city council rejects or like if the negotiations go bad with
that's
VO,
what I'm wondering.
The folks at Lime are like ready and waiting, and they've been talking to people in the press about this exact problem, the changeover specifically as it relates to the equity program. And they've gotten the folks at Servicio Stella Rasa were quoted in 9 News talking about how it takes a long time to build trust with a new program, especially for folks who are enrolled in programs like this. The quote from James Gillespie at Servicio said, over the last 3.5 years, we were able to work with Lime, and we've enrolled hundreds and hundreds of community members. To get a new program started up, whether it's a Lime Access or really any program, takes a lot of time to kind of navigate that new information. So they are worried about service interruptions for those folks who rely on this.
Yeah, and folks that really rely on it, like getting to a job on time kind of thing. And I think because Servicios provides a lot of different services for the community, but one of them is connecting them to programs like this. And that does seem like kind of a big task for some of these organizations that were helping to implement this accessibility program.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Lime is talking it up too, because they feel like they put in all this time, they put in all this money invested in this program, and then they're just going to lose the license. And then all that has no value to them?
Yeah, that's a big I mean, I'll be curious to see what city council thinks of this, because I don't know if I've seen any direct comments from folks. Daryl Watson has been brought up, but I don't know.
I will say I saw the mayor ride a Lime scooter once. He turned up to an event I was at on a Lime scooter.
Oh, really?
So you know what? Next interview, you're going to have to get his review.
Did he look like he could handle it? How was he doing on there?
Oh, he looked like an expert. Okay. He looked like he had done it maybe with a child in front.
I'm like, did he look like the couple that were caught riding on I-70 on one?
One of my favorite
the True Pros?
memes.
No. This was on a much more reasonable street to take a Lime scooter down. But that was like one of the first times I'd ever seen him out in person was like on a Lime scooter. I was like, whoa.
Well, we'll be watching this because we know a lot of folks utilize these micromobility options. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're talking about another form of transportation, front range passenger rail. This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. What does comfort that carries you from morning to night feel like? This March, Cozy Earth crafts every piece with care. From soft, supportive socks for your steps through the day to breathable comforters that help you rest deeply at night. Every detail is intentional, so your everyday feels quietly elevated. Cozy Earth socks come in 4 versatile styles: calf, quarter, ankle, and no-show. And each pair is crafted with care to fit seamlessly into your routine. I feel like I wash my socks like multiple times a week so I can just keep wearing these same Cozy Earth socks. But the fact that they fit perfectly into my Uggs was like, these are the best socks that have ever existed. And let me tell you about their comforters, which are designed with naturally breathable, temperature-regulating materials that help your body settle and keep cool, calm, and gently supported throughout the night. Head to CozyEarth.com and use code CozyDenver for up to 20% off. And if you get a post-purchase survey, be sure to mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here on CityCast Denver. Experience the craft behind the comfort and make every day feel intentional. Okay, we're back. We're talking front range passenger rail and what it should be called. Before we get to that, front range passenger rail is Governor Polis's transit dream, and it looks like it might be coming true. But the question is, in this moment is, what will that dream be called? So for folks that aren't familiar, this rail line would run along I-25 and start in Fort Collins with stops in Loveland, Longmont, and Boulder before following along US 36 to Denver. Then from Denver, it would have stops in Lone Tree, Castle Rock, Colorado Springs, and Pueblo. I mean, this would be huge for the Front Range.
Not Trinidad, though. Sorry, Trinidad.
Oh,
Too
yeah,
expensive.
It doesn't go all the way to Trinidad. That's where I would be going, actually, for the Fancy Spider Festival in October.
Be nice to go down there. But apparently it's too expensive. That's what Sal Pace, who runs the Front Range Passenger Rail District, said in the Denver Post, I think. They counted it out. Too expensive.
Too expensive.
Because it's already going to be expensive, and voters are going to have to foot the bill.
Exactly. And that's really what they're trying to get all this figured out before this potentially goes to the ballot in November, which is what they hope and which is what the governor really hopes. They'd be asking voters for a 0.5 cent per dollar sales tax increase to fund the train. And so before this potentially goes to the ballot, they want to know what it should be called. And there were about 100 names, and they got it down to these few finalists, which I will read and we will discuss.
The timing, though,
yes.
It is weird, right? That they're asking us to pick a name for it before it's even on the ballot. So, like, what are we supposed to get emotionally invested in this thing?
Yes.
And, like, it's going to exist in people's minds before it actually, we vote for the money for it? I mean, I don't know.
I think that's what they're banking on. I don't know, Andy. What do you think? Yeah. What do you think, us deciding the name before we decide if we want to pay for it?
Well, look, there's a name now for the Colfax BRT. Theoretically, it's supposed to be called like the Lynx, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't hear regular people out there talking.
I've literally never heard anyone refer to it as that.
Correct. So, like, maybe calling the Front Range Passenger Rail by some kind of cuter name does do wonders for their branding. It remains to be seen and proved literally once ever.
And I want to say this one more time. I've said it again. The Lynx missed the opportunity of just calling it the 15, which is a storied bus route on Colfax that has, I mean, sure, the lore around it is both good and probably traumatic for folks, but I would still love to just refer to it as the 15. But we're talking about
this conversation before. I don't know if we've actually talked about that. We
talked about the names early on. And again, that might be the only time I ever heard us talk about the names, because since then I've never heard anyone say anything but the Colfax BRT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. Huh. The Lynx.
Well, let's talk about what the Front Range Passenger Rail options are here. We have the Colorado Connector, or COCO for short, Colorado Ranger, which is a play on words since the train runs along the Front Range, according to Colorado Sun, the Front Range Express Destinations, or FRED for short, or RangeLink. Do any of these sound good to you guys?
Well, RangeLink, I'm going to need the Wi-Fi password for. That is a network that I'm going to access through my laptop.
It also feels like a newsletter from my community college name.
RangeLink?
Personally. Yeah, I'm reading the RangeLink.
Fred just sounds like a really motivated member of the community wanted it named after him and came up with an acronym to suit it. The way they do bills in Congress. Like, they literally just said, the acronym will be my name, which is Fred, and we will find the letters to make it work.
I love that about it, though. That's like relatable and regular. I want to meet the Fred that the train is named after. That one's fun to me.
Fred doesn't feel like it's got a lot of oomph behind it. Like, well, I'm waiting for the Fred again. Fred's late.
Not speedy, there's not really a promise of like excitement,
And I may be thinking of like the most famous Fred to me is Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, and talk about a kind, gentle, moving through the world slowly person, which he was much appreciated for. But I mean, I don't want to hate on any other Freds. Maybe there's a speedy Fred out there. I don't know. What about these other ones? Colorado Ranger, the COCO.
I thought you'd like the COCO. You're sometimes known as COCO for reasons that I've never asked you about.
It's we'll just say it harkens back to MySpace, Paul.
Okay.
Just a different time. But I just don't, I mean, I think because...
Is that all you want to say about that? I think people would love to know. I'd love to know.
I mean, you had to know me then, I guess, to know who the COCO really was. But it's now part of my legal name.
Withholding right now. It's part of your legal name?
Yeah. Brianna COCO Davies. I was really committed. I know.
To what you were committed, I guess we'll never know.
I was a real queen on MySpace, I don't.
Coco Chanel?
Well, so is that your vote though then? Are you
No.
Are you Coco, Team Coco?
Absolutely not. No, what I would say is I don't like this for what it's short for. The Colorado Connector, that's so boring. It's so boring. I mean, I want something I want like the Get Her Done 2000 or something, or 3000, I guess. We're well into the 2000s. So that would be my pitch, is the Get Her Done. I don't know. What do you guys think? You got any other good pitches?
Well, I remember we talked about this literally 5 years ago, very soon after the show, this CityCast started up, because this front range passenger rail thing has been around for so long. I think people have been talking about it for decades. But when we talked about it with former CPR transportation reporter Nate Miner, we had some ideas, and I found those. We called them, we proposed the Polis Express.
He
a
would
play
love
on the
that.
Polar Express, not bad. This is his baby. Another one I like, Lucifer's Dream. Can't really see that working for a lot of people.
No, but what about the Lucifer Express? Like the Pony Express, the Lucifer Express?
Yeah, that's not bad.
Well, that's very, the Fort Collins and Pueblo people, they're going to vote that down just because they're like, no, it's too Denver-centric.
That's true.
This is why you get such generic names. I mean, they're like, oh, it needs to be something that unites everybody.
This is true.
Like, why don't they just call it like, the I-25 Eliminator? Just as something else.
It will just shorten to the Eliminator.
Great. Correct. I mean, here's my real pitch. Just put on the ballot a second question that's like a write-in on what you think the name should be.
Also tell us what the name should be.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to get a lot of participation in that ballot initiative there.
That's true. Maybe that would get more people to vote on the money part if they got to put their 2 cents behind the name part. I don't know.
The last one we talked about was Nate's pick, the Columbine Cruiser. I feel like that's like generic and broad enough that it might actually work for people, and specific enough that I like it. You could put a picture of the flower.
I would just call it the Cruiser after the longtime hobby of cruising, which can mean many things in many different cultures and social groups. I would definitely go for the Cruiser for sure. I don't know about Columbine in front of it. I mean, it'd be cute for the branding.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Nice.
I would like a nice blue. I was thinking about this with the Lucifer thing, maybe a nice blue train. But then I thought also that's like the color of Polis's favorite weird running shoes. So he might be into that.
What?
His blue tennis shoes, his bright blue tennis shoes. Yes.
He wears them constantly. I literally just looked at an article this morning of him coming up the steps. Is it the same one? Did we saw the same?
It's in the
he's wearing a
Sun
suit.
article.
He's like doing his business. He's ready to shake hands, and he's wearing his little blue running shoes.
Yeah, I googled blue Jared Polis sneakers. There are a lot of blue sneakers, but it looks like he's gone through different brands over the years.
That's wild.
Well, he's not
he
sponsored.
Isn't committed. That's true.
Wait till he gets out of office, and suddenly he's going to have like a contract with Ultra or something like that,
or New Balance, or
yeah, exactly,
something like that.
Him and Jamal Murray
Whatever
in a commercial
shoe company
together.
Wants to be associated.
Maybe that's what he goes into.
Yeah, this is good. Blue is good. Columbine Cruiser, I like it. Colorado Ranger, I think, is probably, I could see that being the one. That's like broad and generic. They could also get a nice sponsorship deal with the New Belgium Brewing, the Voodoo Ranger. That's like their flagship beer. Very popular beer.
Oh, and they have that artist that's, oh my God, I'm embarrassed. I can't remember
that. Might be an issue, actually.
The illustrator's name that's really famous for those, for their designs on their labels. Yeah, Ranger could be okay. I don't know.
I like the double meaning. The front Ranger, the Ranger.
I think I would just call it the Ranger. I think if I was going to shorten it, but
yeah, it's generic enough that like it's fine. No one would hear the Ranger and go like
what?
What? Yeah.
Like, or one of those names that like no one wants to call it because it's so weird. But anyone can vote on this. I will say you have until March 23rd to put in your vote for the 4 names that they've picked. We'll put a link in the show notes. Paul, have you already voted?
I have not. It didn't occur to me to actually vote. Just preparing to talk about it. Have you voted? What are you going to vote for real? Fred?
I don't know, Andy.
Vote for Fred.
What about you?
I'm probably voting for the Colorado Ranger just because I don't also want to give it its own acronym. The like name of the Colorado connector that like comes with the acronym involved. That's a little too South Park. What is it? Soto Sopa
one of the best episodes of all time.
It really speaks to the way we live in this city. But nevertheless, like I just don't know that we give it its own acronym. Let's let the people do that for us.
I actually just hope that you maybe perked the ears of the South Park writers and they skewer this thing, because I'd love to see how much they make fun of all the names that are here. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, you have until March 23rd to vote on that. But we'd love to hear from you. Do you have an idea for the new train's name? Give us a call on the Front Range Passenger Rail Name Game hotline at 720-500-5418 and tell us your big idea. Again, you can text or leave us a voicemail at 720-500-5418.
I got one last detail for you about VO. Brie, I forgot about this, but I really wanted to share this. I asked Alex from VO, what happens if a VO scooter gets chucked in the creek?
Oh yeah, that's been a problem.
It's been an issue.
Sure.
And he says, we're monitoring, blah, 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 blah. We'll fish it out, basically. But he made sure to tell me, for environmental purposes, VO bikes and scooters utilize non-toxic paint, and the batteries are certified for submersion without leaking.
Oh, well, I mean, that's good to know.
So that is a legit answer that they thought about and designed for.
So environmentalists, don't worry about all those ones that are going to get chucked in the creek. The fish will be fine.
We'd probably still worry a little, but...
Yes, to be fair. Yeah.
They can worry more about the cars that drive into the creek, maybe.
Yeah. That's a whole other show, Andy. That is a whole other show. We haven't had roads icy enough for that this year. Huh. Maybe we'll see some later I don't know. Maybe we'll get another spring snow dump. You never know. Well, Andy, Paul, thank you so much.
See you next time, Brie.
See ya.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed the show, why not take a minute to tell Front Range Passenger Rail District Manager Sal Pace about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to our morning newsletter at denver.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later.
It's fun to see you guys like laughing on air, as it were. I'm used to the sound of the laughter, but it's cute.